Question: how many times have you decided, this is it, I'm changing for good, only to find yourself not doing that? Sound familiar, right? Yeah, me too. And you know what? Welcome to the Cosmic Ballet. I'm your host, Fish, and today we're talking about one of those tough challenges in life: change. Specifically, the kind of change that happens in the small, quiet moments when you're faced with a choice and you're trying not to make the same one you did yesterday. It sounds simple, right? But we all know it's anything but. So we're gonna break it down together: why it's so hard, how do we work through it, and what can you do to start today to actually make a lasting change. All right, let's get it. Let's start with the obvious. Change is hard, no doubt about it. Not because we don't want it, but because it pushes us out of our comfort zones. Think about it. Our brains are wired to keep us safe and comfortable. They love routine. They love predictability. Now here's the kicker. Those routines and predictable patterns, they don't care if they're good for you or not. Your brain's main goal is efficiency. It's like, oh, we've done this before, great. Let's keep doing it. Why waste other energy on other stuff, new stuff? So when you try to do something new, whether that's, let's say waking up earlier, eating healthier, spending less time scrolling through your phone, your brain's immediate reaction is, whoa, wait a minute, what are we doing? This ain't what we do. We gotta get back to basics. Basics, of course, being whatever it is that you've been doing up until that point, even if it's not helping you. And listen, it's not your fault. It's biology. Your brain is just trying to save energy. But here's the thing. Just because something is hard doesn't mean it's impossible. It just means it's unfamiliar. And once you push through it, that unfamiliarity, your brain starts to catch on. It starts to say, oh, okay, I like this. This is gonna be the new normal now. Okay. But that's where the challenge lies. Pushing through those early days when every cell in your body wants to revert back to what it knows. That's the hardest part, but it's also where the magic begins. All right, so let's talk about the habit loop. This little concept, it's gonna blow your mind, like boom. And once you understand it, you'll see why change feels so tricky, elusive. Your brain loves loops. It runs on something called the habit loop, which is nothing but a cue, routine, and reward. Let's break it down. The cue. This is the trigger that starts the loop. It could be anything: a specific time of day, an emotion like stress or boredom, or even just seeing your phone sitting on the table. Routine. This is the behavior you follow after the cue. Maybe it's eating a snack, scrolling through social media, or zoning out in front of Netflix. Then you got the reward. This is the payoff, the relief, distraction, comfort, whatever makes you feel good in the moment. The kicker? The loop runs over and over and over until it becomes automatic. Your brain doesn't even think about it anymore. It just happens. So breaking that loop, that's where the real work happens. And it's not about willpower, because willpower is like trying to sprint a marathon. You're gonna burn out. It's more or less about awareness. You've got to recognize the loop and intentionally choose a new routine when the cue shows up. For example, instead of grabbing your phone to scroll when you're bored, what if you picked up a book? I know it's boring, but they're good to read. Or what if you went for a walk? Or even just took a moment to sit and just breathe. At first it feels weird and unnatural, but over time, those little shifts, they start to rewire your brain. The best part, once you rewire one habit loop, it gets easier to tackle the next. Change is contagious in the best way. All right, so let's get real for a second. Change doesn't happen tomorrow. It doesn't happen next week. It happens today, right now. I know what you're thinking, Fish. Look, it's just one day. Does it really matter? And the answer is absolutely. Here's the thing. Every big transformation you've ever heard of, whether it's someone losing weight, starting a business, or just turning their life around, it all started with one single moment, one decision, one different choice. The hardest part isn't deciding you want to change, it's sticking with that decision, moment by moment by moment. Especially when it's easier to fall back into old patterns. That's the challenge. But it's also the opportunity, because every time you make a different choice today, you're casting a vote for the person you really want to become. It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. And the good news? You only have to focus on today. Don't worry about tomorrow yet. Just make the best choice you can in this particular moment. All right, so how do we actually do it? How do we start making those different choices today? Let's break it down into 4 simple steps. Number 1, start small. Don't try to overhaul your entire life overnight. That's a recipe for disaster, burnout, whatever catastrophe you can muster up in your mind. Instead, pick one thing. Maybe it's drinking more water, moving your body for 10 minutes a day, or writing down one thing you're grateful for. Small wins build momentum, and momentum is everything when it comes to change. Number 2, set up triggers. Tie your new habit to something you already do. For example, if you want to meditate, do it right after brushing your teeth. The routine of brushing your teeth acts as a cue for the new habit. The more seamless you can make it, the better. Number 3, be kind to yourself. Change isn't linear. You're going to slip up, and guess what? That's okay. The key is to not let one bad day turn into a bad week, which turns into a bad month, which turns into a bad year. If you mess up, learn from it and keep it moving. Progress is better than perfection every single time. Number 4, visualize the outcome. Take a moment to picture the version of you who's already living the life you want. What does that person do differently? How do they feel? Keep that image in your mind as motivation when things get tough. You're not just changing a habit, you're becoming that person. I'm gonna share a quick story with you about a friend of mine. So, I had a friend, because I don't want to say their name, but they wanted to lose weight, but they kept putting it off. And every time they thought about it, they felt overwhelmed. Because there's so many diets out there. A cabbage soup diet, and tomato soup diet, and whatever soup diet. So, and then workout programs and conflicting advice that they just didn't know where to start. I got it. They worried that if they didn't go all in with a strict plan, they'd fail before they even began. So one day, instead of focusing on the big transformation, they just decided to start with something small. I think they started with a 10-minute walk, which was every evening after they ate. It was no pressure, nothing drastic. It wasn't like this big monumental lifestyle change, just a commitment to move a little bit. At first, those 10 minutes, they felt insignificant, but they stuck with it. Some days when they were tired or just unmotivated, They did it. They did the bare minimum. Then there were other days they felt super energized and they walked 30 minutes or even an hour. Before long, walking just became a habit, something that they actually looked forward to rather than dreaded. And as they built that consistency, something interesting happened. That one small habit led to other positive changes. They started paying more attention to what they ate, not by following a strict diet, but just making healthier choices naturally. They swapped soda out for water, added more vegetables to the meal, and they just began eating, I guess you could say, just more mindfully. Eventually, they felt ready to incorporate like short strength workouts a couple times a week, which was good. Over time, the results started showing, not just in their weight, but in the energy levels, their confidence, their overall mindset. So what once felt like an impossible goal became part of their daily life, all because they took that first step. The point is, you don't have to do everything perfectly. You don't need the perfect diet, the perfect workout, or a couple of complete lifestyle overhauls from day one. You just have to start. One small step is all it takes to build momentum. And once you have the momentum, change becomes inevitable. All right, so let's tackle the elephant in the room, resistance. You know what I'm talking about, that little voice in your head that whispers, hey, you don't have to do that right now. You got time, start tomorrow, it's not a big deal. Skip it, it's just this once. You know what I'm talking about. Everybody that's looking at my face right now, y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. That voice, it thrives on doubt, procrastination, and fear of failure. And let's be honest, it can be persuasive. Resistance is like a sneaky con artist. It knows your weak spots and it's always ready to exploit them. But here's the truth. Resistance is completely normal. Everyone feels it. It's not a sign that you're incapable or unmotivated. It's just your brain's way of trying to protect you from discomfort. The trick isn't to eliminate the resistance, but it's to know how to work through it when it shows up. So let's break it down. Number one, make it non-negotiable. First, treat your new choice like brushing your teeth. You don't sit around debating whether or not you're gonna brush your teeth every morning, right? Well, I hope not. You just do it because it's part of your routine. It's a non-negotiable. The same mindset applies here. Whatever change you're trying to make, decide ahead of time that it's happening no matter what. You're not waiting for motivation. You're not waiting to feel ready. You've already made the decision. For example, if your goal is to take a 10-minute walk every morning, don't even give yourself the option to skip it. The alarm goes off, you put on your shoes, and you go. No overthinking, no excuses. Next up, plan ahead for resistance. Here's the thing. Resistance loves to show up when you're tired, when you're stressed, when you're caught off guard. So the best way to combat is to know your triggers and to have a plan in place. Let's say you're trying to go to the gym after work, but you always feel too tired when 5 p.m. rolls around. So what can you do? Pack your gym bag the night before and leave it in the car. Set a reminder on your phone that says, don't even think about skipping today. Maybe even have a gym buddy just waiting for you at the gym. I like to call them accountability buddies. Or if you're trying to eat healthier, but know you always reach for the junk food when you're hungry, stock your kitchen with easy, healthy snacks. Resistance loses its power when you remove the obstacles ahead of time. Number 3, start small and build momentum. This is a big one. Start small. It's that simple. Resistance, it gets louder when the task feels overwhelming. If the ideal of working out for an hour feels like climbing Mount Everest, don't aim for an hour. Aim for 5 minutes. The beauty of starting small is that it builds momentum. Once you start, you're way more likely to keep going You might even tell yourself, yeah, I just stretch it for another 5 minutes. But by the time you're stretching, you might decide to do a quick workout. Resistance hates momentum because momentum means you're taking action. Number 4, reward yourself. Now let's talk about rewards. Change is hard, so celebrate every single win, no matter how small. Rewards can be anything: a mental high five, a literal fist pump, or even treating yourself to a favorite snack or a relaxing bath. The key is to give yourself credit for showing up, even if the results aren't immediate. Did you go to the gym for 15 minutes? Amazing. Did you choose water over soda at lunch? That's a win. Did you spend 5 minutes journaling instead of scrolling social media? Celebrate it. When you reward yourself for your efforts, you're reinforcing the habit. You're teaching your brain, hey, this new choice, it actually feels pretty good. Let's keep doing it. Number 5, change your perspective on resistance. Here's something I want you to think about. What if resistance isn't the enemy? What if it's actually a sign that you're growing? When you feel resistance, it's often because you're stepping into something unfamiliar. You're pushing beyond your comfort zone, and that's a good thing. It means you're doing the work, you're making progress. So instead of letting resistance frustrate you, use it as a signal. When it shows up, remind yourself, this is what change feels like. This is me getting better. And finally, don't try to do it all on your own. Resistance loses a lot of power when you have accountability. So tell a friend, tell a family member, a coach, whoever you're working with, whatever you're working on, share your goals and ask them to check in on you. Even better, find someone with a similar goal and work on them together. It's a lot harder to skip out on a workout or to break a promise when you know someone else is counting on you. Here's the bottom line. Resistance is just part of a process. It's not a sign that you're failing or that you're not cut out for it. It's just your brain trying to keep you in your comfort zone. But you're stronger than resistance. You've got the tools to face it head on. So the next time that little voice says, hey, let's do that tomorrow, you'll know exactly how to respond. No thanks, I'm doing it today. At the end of the day, change isn't about flipping your life upside down overnight. It's about the small, consistent choices you make every day. Those choices add up. They create momentum, and eventually, they become second nature. That's when you look back and realize just how far you've come. It's not easy, but it's worth it. Because the person you become on the other side of that change, that person's unstoppable. So here's your challenge. What's one different choice you can make today? Just one, that's it. Drop it in a comment, because I always love to answer comments and hear what you guys are working on. And if this resonates with you, hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this. Remember, change starts today with one small, brave step. And remember this, the toughest battles usually lead to the best wins, and you've got everything you need to succeed. So do what needs to be done, put the work in, and make great things happen. Until next time.